I understand.
I don't play the Schwarzenegger part. I'll tell you that much. I'm not Arnold. I don't do an Austrian accent and walk naked through Los Angeles.
I understand that the viewers of American Idol might have caught a glimpse of you recently. What were you doing exactly?
Well, you do what you have to do as a working actor, and so I recently got a couple of Domino's commercials, which is a fine product, and the first time I heard they were showing was they showed during American Idol. I've done two of them, one where I don't speak and one where I do speak. And that was nice because there's no other work going on right now because of the strike. And the strike, of course, is necessary. It's very difficult for everyone that the strike is happening, but it had to happen because, the writers need to be compensated for, the main issue is compensation for stuff showing on the Internet. And in the future, more and more stuff is going to be on the Internet, and the writers don't have a deal where they really get any money for that. And in the future, the Internet and TV will be kind of like one thing. So that does need to happen. But meanwhile, commercials don't fall under the Writers Guild. Commercials are written by people at advertising agencies who are not members of the WGA. So you can still do commercials and stuff. So yes, I did that, and I actually haven't done a commercial in many years. The last on camera one. I do a lot of voiceovers, but the last one where I appeared on camera was probably like 6 years ago. And back then, I did quite a number of them actually. I did a Blockbuster commercial. I was in a couple of Budweiser commercials. Different things. It's good money when you get them, but they're hard to get. And I haven't actually gone out for that many in recent years. But I just moved to Los Angeles from New York in May, and I got a new agent, and I got this commercial. So, yeah.
Right.
You do what you have to do.
Right after you got out of college, you were one of the co-founders of the famous Arden Party Theater Company. How did that get started?
Well, that was that started because this is a long time ago, but this is like the 1980s. In like the mid-80s, I met a woman named Karen Coonrod, and she was a student at Columbia University. She was getting a degree in directing, theater directing. And I was just kind of a slacker in New Jersey, doing a lot of community, like amateur theater in the mid-80s. But I hadn't moved to New York yet, and I wasn't pursuing a professional career yet. And Karen wanted to form a theater company, and we met and became really good friends, and it was the right time for me to do something like that. And I thought, yeah, let's form this company. So then we both started doing stuff in New York, and that's what inspired me to move to New York and basically sort of start being a professional actor, although in the early days of Arden Party, we weren't getting paid anything, and we were just all doing it because we loved it. We were all working day jobs. And then for several years, I worked with that company exclusively. It's pretty much the only acting I did was work with this little theater company off Broadway in New York, where we did everything. We raised the money for the shows. We built the sets. We designed the costumes. I used to make the posters. We'd act in the shows. You did everything. It was like running a little business, and I learned so much about acting and a lot of other things doing that. It was a great, great time. And that's when I started performing in New York City, was working with that little company. And then over time, it took a while, but over a few years, we started to get a reputation and get well known. And then some of us started getting other jobs in theaters through being seen in that company. And, eventually I went off to try to do other things. And Kara now directs all over the world doing different things. So the company doesn't really exist anymore, but that's kind of what got me started as an actor, really, as like a professional actor, as opposed to an amateur, which I was for many years before I moved to New York.
Well, you start out small, and
Yeah.
well, you get the idea.
Yeah.
You've also acted on stage in New York City, as you mentioned, quite a bit, including the Drama Desk Award-nominated Thomas Paine Based on Nothing.
Yeah.
What are some of the other productions that you've been in as well as that?
Oh, wow. I've been in so many plays in New York. Let's see. Right before Tom Paine, I did a play called The Rivals, which is, an old restoration play that was at Lincoln Center, which was considered Broadway. So that was like my Broadway debut. And I did a lot of things off-Broadway and off-Broadway. I worked a lot with other companies that were similar to Arden Party, my company. Most of my friends are people I met in New York in that kind of downtown theater world, because that's where most of those theaters are, like in the downtown part of Manhattan. And so I worked with all these interesting small companies that some did original plays, some did classic plays, Shakespeare and stuff. But yeah, they've been. Actually, I'm spacing out on the names of some of these plays, but I can probably find a copy of my resume here in my bedroom and tell you some of them. Yeah, I did a great play called Lipstick Traces with a company that's actually from Austin, Texas, which was sort of a play about the history of punk rock. And I did a play called The Universe, which is by a famous director in New York named Richard Foreman, who does these very sort of experimental, crazy plays that don't seem to make any sense, that have all these crazy sound and lighting effects in them. And then I did a play with a great title called Shoppers Carried by Escalators into the Flames, which is a play by Dennis Johnson, who's better known as a novelist. So I've done a lot of stuff with really interesting people. The thing that any actor will tell you is theater doesn't really pay that much. And once you start having kids and, getting more acting work in film and TV, it's sometimes a good idea to try to get more film and TV work, because if you get it, it pays you more, and it also has the effect of raising your profile because more people see film and TV. And so I would love to go back to New York and do more theater, but right now the reason I moved to Los Angeles is just to try to get more film and TV work. What I would ultimately love to do is have a little more freedom to be able to go back to New York and do plays regularly. But because I'm fairly new to L.A., I just want to concentrate on staying here for a while, But it seems to be working out, I got the Terminator show and a couple Domino's commercials, and so the strike will end eventually, and then me and everyone else will get back to work. So there's my long answer to that question.
Hey, we thrive for answers like that, So